What's up, guys, and welcome into our ACC Prospect Series. I'm jacked up for this one. This is going to be such a fun series of interviews, conversations that we have with ACC football players that are about to take that next step. And we're getting it kicked off with the Knowles. You see the shirt, you know what time it is. And one of the fastest rising prospects in this year's draft, Braden Fiske. This guy lit the combine on fire. I mean, he's got a trail of smoke coming behind him as he runs a 4.7 40-yard dash, led all defensive tackles. I mean, absolute freak show, the things that he did up in Indianapolis. And it shouldn't be a surprise, right? We saw the athleticism all year long. This guy was just freaky, the things that he did on the field. And I really enjoyed this conversation because we go through this whole story on how the heck nobody picked him up way back in the day, and he ends up at Western Michigan. Shout out to Coach Spo up there, defensive coordinator. Then transferring, finding Florida State, moving on to the next level, and of course what he's done recently in the NFL draft prep with the Combine, Senior Bowl, things of that nature. So I love this conversation. I love this dude. I think he's going to make some NFL franchise extremely happy. We'll talk more on some intangibles and measurables and things like that on the back end, but this guy's going to make a lot of money really soon, and he is locked in. I think you guys are going to be impressed with this interview. Real quick, a message from our friends over at Ingles, and then we'll get to the interview. Here we go.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Braden Fiske, my man, great to see you, brother. I've been waiting on this interview, been very excited to get to talk to you. You are coming off an unbelievable NFL Combine run, arguably one of the best in a very long time. I know that has to feel good. How you doing?
Yeah, like I said, I can't complain. I mean, things are going maybe somewhat how I was expecting, maybe a little bit more exceeding expectations. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of trying to vet the process and just give everything I got, try to make the most out of this draft process. I mean, kind of when I set forth for this in January, I got these 2 months, 2.5 months, whatever it is, to really dial in, make the most out of this opportunity, and it's kind of worked out for the best so far. And I can't complain, man. It's been great.
That's right. Well, you're checking off all kinds of boxes, man. And, really where I want to start this, I've been thinking a couple of different ways. I want to go way back, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, in recruiting. How the hell did all these people miss? I mean, no disrespect to anybody, okay?
Right.
And you got a great career and all these great things, but, I mean, come on. What the heck happened? Late bloomer, or what was the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think somewhat of a late bloomer. I mean, it kind of. So the funny thing was, I was an offensive lineman in high school. My high school coach wasn't a big believer in the two-way player, and the best situation for our team was for me to play offensive line. But the problem was I was a 6'3", 240-pound offensive lineman. So how do you recruit that? And I mean, it was tough. And I mean, I probably went to like 20, 30, 40 of those one-day camps at colleges trying to just get anything. Get any offer, get any look, and I get a ton of the you look good. Just keep working. I'm just like, well, damn, dude, all right. Been hey, we're moving, but luckily, one of the last camps I went to the summer of 2017, right before my senior year, Western Michigan, they came through, and Coach Esposito, my D coordinator, he saw enough in me. He offered me, and then they offered me on a Monday. I accepted that following Friday. I knew the team that must like me the most. They see something in me. I was like, I want to give it back too. And yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, I couldn't complain. I had a great time in Kalamazoo. I mean, I loved it up there. I mean, that's all I knew. They raised me, and they made me to what I am today. And luckily, I was able to kind of get the exposure I needed once I got to Florida State. But it was awesome experience.
Yes. So you said an interesting thing there. First of all, Coach Spo, shout out. Love that guy. I think he's at
Awesome
Memphis
dude.
Now,
Yeah,
but an awesome dude. Love that dude. He's one of the realest in the game there. So you played offensive line though, but did he just see something? He's like, no, we're going to bring you over here, baby. What was that like, playing offensive line your whole high school career to now playing in college Division I on the defensive line?
I mean, it was a big adjustment, and I think at that camp specifically, doing the one-on-one drills, I think I bounced me at O-line, bounced me over at D-line, and once I got to campus, it was like, hey, you're coming with us. And I mean, he was the D coordinator, so he kind of had to say it like, no, we're going to take this kid, and I didn't. I mean, at first I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was how to play hard. Just run to
Sure.
the ball, just play with effort. And I mean, I started off shooting my hands like this. The chicken wings. And so there was a lot of building blocks. What shaped my game. And I mean, Coach Espo played a big part in that. And
Yeah.
just kept on grinding the little details. And it was just I mean, it turned out great. But yeah, definitely a big adjustment playing at that speed.
How about that? I mean, that's a fascinating story. So at what point, if it's a year or whatever, did you feel like, okay, I'm pretty good, at this defensive line stuff?
I mean, I always knew I had it in me. I always knew I had the potential to be really good. But the year really clicked was 2021, where I was like, so to speak, breakout season of, okay, now you're out there making plays. You feel confident in what you're doing out there. And you're not freelancing out there, but you're starting to see things. You're starting to read things differently. Like your preparation is a little bit better. That's when things really started to change. And each year after that, I was able to kind of just grow on those little things. I was big on following guys that were ahead of me, like D. Eskridge, AJ Thomas, Wes French, guys that were going to the NFL. You take little parts of their game, like the technique that they would play with, and just kind of built into my game, especially the regimen around the building of things to do after practice. You have your mandatory stuff, but what are you gonna do after that? And that's what really shaped my game and changed everything for me. But
yeah. And that just feels like that's what separates people, right? Like how much work are you willing to put in that so much is required to really take that next step. When did you guys play Pittsburgh when you beat them? Were you on that team?
Yeah, I was 2021. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the exact year. So I remember watching that, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, this dude is terrorizing Kenny Pickett, terrorizing Pitt, and I just remember being like, yo, okay, I don't know what's about to happen, but check this guy out. And then fast forward, you decide to get in the portal, which, I think different people have different opinions, right? Like, there's a lot of good things about the transfer portal, and I think this is it. So how did you come to that situation? How did you come to that, kind of thought process that, hey, I need to get in this thing and maybe take another step somewhere else?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty interesting because, coming up to the end of 2022 year, I was kind of like, am I going to go to the draft? Am I going to stay another year? And ultimately I had to get my shoulder worked on. So the best scenario was, all right, I'm going to stay at Western Michigan. It was the comfortable decision. It was, like this, I feel the best. This training staff knows me, coaching staff, all that. Then 3 days later, my head coach gets fired, and it was like, well, all right. And I talk about a lot that when a head coach gets fired, it's a mad scramble. Everyone's kind of trying to save themselves. Everyone's trying to figure out their next moves. And luckily, I had the right people in my corner to say, what, just try. See what the portal has to offer for you. And I didn't really know much about the portal because I had only heard the horror stories. Of, guys hopping in, not getting any calls. Because I'm in the group of 5, so most guys Power 5 either drop a level or whatever, just for whatever the reason may be. So all I knew was, all right, this could get ugly, whatever. We'll just check it out, though. And, sure enough, I hop in and my phone doesn't stop ringing. And, I mean, it was probably 2-3 weeks. I was about done with the pride. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. This is terrible. I mean, I can't believe, 18, 19-year-old kids or 17, 18-year-old kids go through that process for, a year or 2 years. That's unbelievable. So,
right.
But yeah, it was crazy. And, I mean, it worked out for the best, though.
Yeah, no question. Well, I think what you just said there is fascinating because isn't it interesting just to put life into perspective that when you were probably 17, 18-year-old, you were begging for it. And you're like, please, anybody. And then come full circle, you're just like, all right, I don't want any of this. Like, this is crazy. It's insane, man, just to think about that and, how, that journey was laid out for you. You just had to go and get it. You just had to go and take it. So walk me through that a little bit. You don't have to tell me everything because it sounds like it was insane. But how did you end up at Florida State? How did that happen with you and you felt comfortable that was the best situation for you?
Yeah. So really early on in the process, Coach Norvell, he was one of the first coaches to FaceTime me. And like, that was kind of weird for me. I was getting a random FaceTime.
It was a cold call just out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere. And that's what most of them were. But most of them were just phone calls. But this time it was a FaceTime. And like, you're assuming it's a coach. I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's see who it is. Sure enough, Mike Norvell sitting across the screen. And
hey, what'd you think, bro? What'd you think when you see old Mike over there?
I mean, he has such a a 1,000-mile stare to him. I'm just like, oh shit, Mike Norvell, and, you don't really know what to expect where the conversation go with him. But I mean, he's putting on the recruiting pitch, like how all that goes. But I mean, it was a great conversation then. And he was he's pushing it quick. He's like, hey, like we want to come up there. We're going to send Odell and Coach Fuller up there. And yeah, I think we probably had like 3 meetings up, where I'm from before I even got down there. And I mean, it was a crazy process. But yeah, I mean, he came to my house probably like 2 weeks before I went on a visit there, and he's sitting in my kitchen. And, I mean, me and him, I talk about it all the time. I say this story all the time, but me and him have probably a staring contest for 2.5 hours, just not unlocking eyes. And he's banging on my table. He's just in there, hollering, just telling me, challenging me why I need to come to Florida State. And,
yeah,
I could see the vision from that point on. I said, okay, like, this guy's different. This staff is different. And once I got to get down to campus, I got to see the vision of wow, like this is a place I want to be. And, it felt like the best fit for me, especially roster wise, who they had coming back, what they were bringing in. I said, damn, like, this could be somewhere we could win some ball games. So
yeah. That's fantastic, man. I love that guy so much. He's one of the best, and it's interesting too. He is different for sure. It's one of those things where like you don't know a guy until you do, right? Like until you see him, you're in person. And I had the privilege. This was probably 21. It was before you got there to go to a practice, see that, and dude, he's one of the most energetic, most passionate, most excited people running around drill to drill.
Yeah.
And I'm just
that's
like,
every day.
Man, yeah,
that does not
every
change.
day.
Every single
how
day.
does he do that? How does he do that? And what does that do to you as a player, inspiration wise, to just keep going?
I mean, I think that's what forces the culture. I mean, like you have no choice but to be bought into that. I mean, because if he's bringing it every day, then the staff's bringing it every day. Even the support staff is bringing it every day. So it's kind of just like the trickle effect of everyone in that building. I mean, you name a staff member. I mean, they're bought into what the culture he's established. I mean, weight room, training room, academics. I mean, you name it. People just, buy it. Other sports teams around the building. I mean, because we share the building with a lot of other teams. I mean, even they get to see it. So, I mean, just the energy he brings. I mean, everyone feeds off that. And yeah, I mean, for me, it was great because, that was the first time coming into a new program, being a part of something like that, and getting to see how a new head coach ran his building. And I mean, I loved it. I mean, I was bought in from the second I walked in. And I could just tell, like, yeah, like, if he can do this, and we should all do it. And obviously, it paid off. I mean, to see what he's built from year one to now, I mean, it's unbelievable. And I can't imagine it's going to falter any bit now.
Right.
So
right. That's just what he does. Is what he does. It's contagious, as you said, and it's just if the top of the top is doing it, like you said, nobody has a choice. Like get in line.
Exactly.
Let's go. Let's go to work. And I think that's so much fun to see, man. Well, it was a great decision for you because you balled out, and I'll never forget being at ACC Media Day, and I didn't get to do the camp tour where I saw you guys in person, but I was talking with Derek Satterfield. And, he's my guy. We go back and forth. We're talking trash. I'm talking crazy about Clemson. He's talking crazy about you guys. And he like is asking me position versus position, like who's better, who's going to win. And he gets to the D line. I'm like, okay, bro, like, come on. It's Clemson. Like, that's what we do, right? Like we produce guys to the NFL. He said, I don't know, man. I don't know. Jared Verse and, Braden Fiske. I'm like, what? Come on, man. Like, what? And he said, just wait till you see this guy. And again, I had seen you and I was excited about you, but I was talking crazy. And he said, this dude is going to make such an impact for our team. It's insane. And then you go and do it. I mean, what was that like where you come in and it's a little different because you're not some kid. You're not some 17-year-old kid. You're a grown man that has an initiative that's trying to go to the league. Hey, come on or get left behind. So what was that like when you got to Florida State, you get into training camp and things like that? And did you assert yourself right to the top? Did it take time? Like, what was that kind of like for you?
Yeah. And, I think that's one of the first things, me and Coach Norvell talked about in our meetings. He was like, what do you want out of this season? I told myself, I'm coming for everything. And I mean, like, when I say everything, I mean everything. And, it was hard early on when I first got to campus because, I'm walking around in a shoulder sling. Like, I'm fresh off of shoulder surgery. So, I mean, as a player, like you're in the training room more than you are in meetings and weight room and spring ball. So the first like 2-3 months, I was there. I was kind of, still waiting to get acclimated with everybody. Like guys see me, but they're like, man, this guy's supposed to be this big time transfer, and he can't. He's walking around in the sling. Like, is he even gonna play? The stories come out in these big programs, right? So whatever. So I kind of had to sit back in the shadows for a little bit. But from day one, I got released. I mean, my first day being like back full go was in May, and like that's when I was like, all right, like this is where I'm going to set the tone. And I think, earning the respect early on was, crucial because, I'm a big respect guy. So like from the first workout, I was trying to establish myself, I'm going to work the hardest here. And, And I think I earned the respect pretty quick from those guys. And once the pads came on, it was a no brainer. I mean, I just that's where I thrive, and that's where I was like, all right, that's where I'm going to make a difference. But
Yeah.
I think the coolest part was building relationships with especially younger guys, just showing them like this is a way you can do it. Of just because I have a pretty in my own perspective a good regimen of how I go about my day and how I take care of my body and how I attack workouts and practice and film and being able to spread that to young guys and even vets that got to see like, oh wow, this guy does it differently. So and I think I was able to impact the culture in some way, and that was something big for me because I was in my 6th year of college, so it was like if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna show them this is a way to do it. I'm gonna give back in some way. They always talk about leave the place better than you found it. So I mean that was big for me too. So all of that combined was a lot of fun.
No, I don't think there's any doubt, man, of your impact. And I know time was short, but it was big, right? And people looked up to you and the growth that was there and the way these coaches speak about you, man, it's tremendous. And I love the fact that you talk about when those pads come on. Listen, we can say a lot of stuff, but those pads are loud, baby, right? Like they set the tone quick. That's right. In the film, don't lie. Eye in the sky, don't lie, all that. So I love that, man. That's fantastic. And really to put an exclamation point on, kind of Florida State here and everything that you had talked about, had a great year, making big time impact, the things you're able to do. But then we get to Charlotte and you played like a man possessed. I mean, walk me through, because quite frankly, I don't know if we've seen a game quite like that from an interior deep, maybe an edge rusher type guy. But if I'm correct, 4 sacks, a lot of tackles for loss. I mean, you were living in the backfield. Walk me through that week. Like, did you just know? Did you know that was going to happen?
I mean, I keep saying, it was just I mean, I had been waiting on that moment. I never knew that moment was going to happen, but it happened to come in, the biggest game of my life. And I think it's just, a testament to the consistency that I, just brought to every day, not just to, games, but to, every day leading up to, every game was at some point that wall is going to fall, I've been waiting on those moments, and just sometimes that's the way the game falls. I mean, was there more urgency because of the situation we were in? Sure. Because, I mean, we're down to our 3rd string quarterback, and I mean, different, things we got, the strategies we got to do on offense. So defense had to step up, and I mean, it's a lot easier when I'm playing next to a Jared Verse and a Josh Farmer and Pat Payton on the other side and Fable. I mean, you name it. But I mean, just there were some things I saw that game on film, and just I was able to attack it, and it's just little details that happen to come true in the best moments, and just when you get the opportunities, show, and you got to take advantage of them. And luckily, I was in position to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what does that feel like? Did it feel like you were playing a video game? Is it an out of body experience? Because I mean, you were thriving, dude. The plays that you were making, and you're getting up celebrating the ring celebration. One of my favorites. I mean, what was that? What was that like?
I mean, it was just the scene too. It was just surreal. And I mean, once I made that first play, that TFL, like the second play of the game, like it's like something clicked, man. I was like, the X factor turned on. I was like Madden, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Like once you make a big play early in the game, you feel unstoppable. And luckily, it's crazy to look back at it just because how quickly it happened, and you ride that high, then you got the next day, you get that fall. But I mean, it was super special. I mean, I'll remember that the rest of my life.
You talk about that play. I will never forget. EJ Emanuel and I, no legend, stood out there the whole game in the rain. We're watching every play, and that happens. And there's this picture. I'll have to find it. I can send it to you if I find it. But I'm just like, of me and I watching this. I'm like, this ain't good. If he's doing that play too, look out. And then, of course, you go on to have that massive game, man. It was so much fun. You mentioned JV there. He's always spoke so highly of you the multiple times that we've had him on the show and spoken to him. What's that relationship like? Because he would tell us stories, man, about maybe there wasn't necessarily a play call, that y'all just kind of look at each other and, all right, it's your turn. All right, it's my turn. What's that like? Because that's special, especially in such a condensed time that you were with each other.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. I think, just the relationship we were able to build quick, just, because we compete, and I think it's what made us so much better. I think we were both coming into that season at the tops of our games of like, oh, I'm better, whatever it may be. And then I told him early on, I was like, listen, I'm going to make you so much better of a player just because I'm going to, we're going to attack it. Like, we're going to get after it. And that's like the one thing that drove us, like, just competing. I mean, it didn't matter. It wasn't just on the field. I mean, on the field, we're, whatever, running to the ball, doing sprints after practice. But in the film room. I'm not letting them watch an extra hour film with me. Like, I'm not letting them be in the tub longer than me, whatever it may be. Like, we were just competing all the time. And I think it just created like this bond that even on the field, like when we're watching film, like, hey, if we see this, like, just be ready for whatever we're going to counter with. Like, especially in the ACC game or the championship, it was like, hey, as soon as they kick out to here, come underneath, I'll cover. Like, just to see the little things and just know he's going to be in his spot at the right time. And yeah, like he said, I mean, it just became a thing where we look at each other and be like, all right, here we go. Like, we see it. Like, we know it's coming. And I mean, I was so blessed to play next to him. And, I think he'd say the same just because of what we were able to do, accomplish, and just how much fun we had. That was the most fun, like, I think we ever had playing ball, especially coming from where we both did. I mean, he's at Albany and I was at Western Michigan. And for our stories to play out like they did that way, I mean, it was just super special.
Yeah, it really was, and it was fun. Like you said, it was fun to watch. Unless you're a Louisville fan, I guess, then it probably wasn't too fun. But that thing you mentioned about how, hey, just come inside and I'm gonna come outside. I mean, a lot of people think that that's a game, that's a called thing. That was just you guys feeling it, right? A lot of them. I'm sure some of them were. Yeah, that's insane. Is that practice? Is that film? Is it just trust? Like, how did y'all know to choreograph that? Because it's a thing of beauty when it's done correctly.
I think it's just a combination of all of it. I mean, some you see in film, and then I think, we saw it early on in a few games this season, and like something would hit early on, and then we get to the sideline and go, hey, like, let's look for this, and if we see it again, like, we're going to start attacking it, and and it was, end tackle stunts, tackle end stunts, and we would just try to pick apart whatever they're going to give us, and I mean, we knew more times than not we're going to get the slide to us, so it was like, all right, how are we going to play this? Like, we had just rushing straight upfield isn't always going to win this if they're going to send 3-4 our way, so. I mean, just finding ways to pick it apart and, get them on different levels. And I think it was a testament to just how we both attacked each day. And I think we put a lot of work into our craft and a lot of work into just the mental aspect of the game. And I think here in 2 months, we're going to change both our lives and set us up for, great opportunities. And I'm excited to see where he goes. And, that'd be pretty cool to play next to him one more time. But,
could you imagine that? How fun that'll be. And like you said, it's life-changing. It really is. And that's a great segue. I appreciate you throwing that alley-oop to me. And looking at what was next. And for you, that was a Senior Bowl and you dominated. And I was so excited when I saw that you were playing in that, because I said, okay, here we go. All eyes on FSU, all eyes on Fiske, because it is such a highly touted event. And then the combine, I'm like, hey, look, I don't know what this guy's about to run, but I see the tape. I see the explosive nature. I see the motor. I think we're going to be impressed. I did not think that we would see a 4.7, okay, big man. I did not think that we would see that. I didn't think we'd see a 33.5-inch vertical, but you went and did it. Walk me through that, because that's kind of, to me, that's also kind of like the ACC championship game where you're just dominating. I mean, you're having the best day as a defensive tackle. Did you expect that? Because you're running your sprint, you say, oh, yeah, right at the end. I'm like, this guy's a monster.
I think even because I'm training down here at Bomberito, so me and Pete, the owner, we talk from the day one when I got here. I was like, listen, Pete, like, I'm going to run 4.7. Like, I told him early on, like, I'm speaking into existence. I'm like, it's going to happen. And, Pete, he's one of those guys. He doesn't want to like to look into the future. Nah, just trust the process. And as we're getting closer, like one of our mock combines, one of our pre-tests, I hit a 4.7. He was like, okay, like he was trying to like beat around the bush, like the wind, all this stuff. I'm like, nah, like we're gonna run that 4.7, and but even the whole combine in general, like I knew I was gonna have strong testing numbers. I mean, a lot of people out there with narratives always not very athletic. I was like, shit, okay, like this way, buddy, like,
ooh.
Yeah, all right, like you're about to see here in about 20 minutes, but it was. I knew going into it. I was ready to attack it. I wanted to prove that I was the best athlete out there, and everyone out there is great players. But I wanted to set myself apart, and and I think that was part of the whole pre-draft process. I just wanted to set myself apart because I know I'm a different player out there, and just the way I attack this, the way I treat it, like there's no reason I can't be the best out there. I was very confident in my abilities, and I just went and got after it.
Right. And you did that. And I think it's the way you prepare, it's the way you train. I mean, time and time again throughout just our conversation here, you've talked about your process and the things that you do to set yourself apart. Is it a little weird? Is it a little interesting right now? Because this is probably a 5-month window where it's so different than anything in your life, because before everything is all about the team, all about winning, all about everybody else. after this, it's going to be all about the team, all about winning the ultimate goal. But right now, it's just you. It's all about you, and you have to do what's best. You have to put yourself in that situation. How is that kind of from a mindset standpoint, right now where you have to be selfish and to get what you want?
I mean, I see it as just I could tell from like the first week of, because it was weird going from being a team to being your own team. Like it's solo mission now, and
Right.
I saw the way I see it now is, I mean, this is where you set yourself apart, because it's hard mentally, because now you don't have a coach or a trainer on your back to get your treatment or to
Right.
get your protein shake in, to get your vitamins, all these little things to get your sleep. Now it's on your own. It's a choice. So I saw it as an opportunity. This is where I'm going to set myself apart, because I can see it. I mean, I've seen it every step of the way in this short process of guys just aren't built for this. Mentally, like they struggle with it because they're on their own. Like instead of getting to sleep, I'm going to stay up and go out, whatever it may be. Like I saw this, I was like, this is where I'm going to make a difference, because I can lock this in for 2.5 months and change my life. While just watching my peers, I'm like, you ain't ready for this. Like, and that probably comes with me doing six. That probably comes with me doing 6 years of college ball and being 24, and I have my fun in college. But but I just was like, no, this process, I'm going to lock this in. I'm going to dial it in, and that's what I think. That's been the biggest thing of where I've been able to set myself apart. Even like the long days at the Senior Bowl, the long days at the Combine. You can see guys getting tired. You can see guys, skipping this, skipping that, just because I don't want to do that. I'm just like, nah, like you can dial this in for this week, dial this in, like you make a difference. And I think that's been the biggest. If you go out there and put all the numbers you want, but I think mentally is where I've been able to set myself apart, is just fighting through the tough days, fighting through, just being consistent and not swaying off the path.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. What a great mindset. And I think it also equates to everything you just said is, the Combine is not just that one day that people see on TV of you running and doing all these different things. Yeah. What was the rest of that week like? I mean, don't give away, all the trade secrets here, but it's medical evaluation, it's interviews, it's all these things. So how was that piece of it for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of talked about, it's a big I think the Combine is more of a mental test than a physical test, because I mean, you're there for 3 days before you even test, and that's a combination of staying up late, doing a bunch of interviews at night, going through, every team you can think of. They're asking you every question. You're doing football, IQ stuff. You're doing mental tests, like whatever it may be. And then you got the long days of medical. I mean, I'll tell you, I was at the hospital from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, you go through all your doctor evaluations. You go through, every inch of your body, what's wrong with you. They want to get more medical. I mean, they kind of just beat you down and just build you back up on Thursday. And then, I mean, it's just like it's a slow dipping process of, you come in on Monday to dip all the way down and get back up on Thursday. And I mean, it's definitely more of a mental preparation than anything. And I think that's where I think everybody was like, damn, like, this is a lot different than what you expect. And I mean, you hear about it, it's easier. I mean, everyone talks about, like, it sucks, but you get there like, okay, this is what the Combine is. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
This actually sucks. Yeah, this is terrible.
Right. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What was it? Was there any weird stuff and don't tell me any teams or anything, but was there any weird question or did they ask you to do anything that was silly, while you were in this interview process?
Nah, for me, it was not really nothing too crazy. I mean, the one question I get is, like, what is something you would change about yourself? And I tell them, like, my arm length, because that's all you guys want to talk about. But I get so tired of that crowd. But I mean, yeah, nothing too wild. But
that's sad, man. It's funny. We this is our our third or fourth conversation here with different guys that are at the Combine, and that's what everybody's saying. So I don't know if it was like an initiative by the NFL to dial some stuff back or what. Man, I've been sad. We haven't had anything funny.
Right. I don't know, man. They check.
Is what it is. That's right. It is what it is. Is what it is. Well, what's next, man? Pro Day. Obviously, you had such a successful thing. Are you doing anything at Pro Day? And then draft. Like, what is that going to look like? Are you guys having a big get together, family type deal? What's next for you, man?
So for the next, my Pro Day is March 22nd. It'll be a Friday. I'm going to stay down here in Miami to finish up training, just preparation until that day, and then. Hit Pro Day, and then I'll probably stay down in Tallahassee just to finish up, preparation and head home I'm from Michigan City, Indiana, so I'll probably head home for the week of the draft, and then I'll probably have a good get together. Have a lot of people. I got ton of support back there. I mean, from every level of Pop Warner, high school, college. I mean, I got a ton of friends and family that want to be there, so probably throw a little draft party or something. I think it'd be cool experience for everybody.
No doubt, man. Well, this was awesome, brother. I appreciate your time. Very excited for what's next for you. And I think it's going to be coming pretty early, man. So keep that phone ready. Keep it ready and keep it charged.
No, thank you. This is awesome. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, guys, man, so much to unpack from right there. Really enjoyed our time with Braden. Big shout out to him for making some time for us. He's a busy man. He's flying all over the place, meeting with these teams and going through the different things. When I was looking up and doing a little research, I have it pulled up over here on just the measurables, people's thoughts, things of that nature. And I see here at NFL.com, defensive tackle with below average mass and length. Here's the deal. This guy's 6'4", 292. I don't know what's average about that. I get the arm length thing, and he even talked about it. He's pissed about that because that's a real thing. But that is a huge human being, okay? I mean, that is a freaky guy that probably could put on a little more mass if he wants to, but there's nothing about below average that, okay? And then on top of all of it, he goes out there and runs a 4.7. What are we talking about? This guy is freaky. He has a crazy motor. We showed it to you all year long on ACC Network, the things that he was able to do. And again, specific, if you want to watch any tape of a defensive tackle and be like, my gosh, this guy has it all, go watch the Louisville game, ACC championship. It was freaky, the things that he was able to do. And quite frankly, I think that's what his career is going to look like. He is a twitchy guy that has a very good sense for how to beat you. Use your strengths to as weaknesses, turn them into weaknesses against you. If you overset, he's going inside. If you try to use heavy hands, he's breaking them down and getting by you. He just moves really well for an interior guy. He's not a defensive end. He's an interior guy that can really make some things happen. So I think he easily goes day 2. I will be ecstatic, not shocked, if he ends up at the back of the first round, kind of in the kind of 26 through 32, somewhere in there. I think he deserves it, the things that he's able to do. Now it's all about pro day. I talked to him a little bit off cam, the things he's going to do there. He's excited, going to do all the drills, meet with the teams, things of that nature. And I think he's only going to make continuous impressions there, the things that he can do. So my pick, if I had a choice, I'm going to the Colts, baby. I would love for them to pick him up. Coach P, who was at Pittsburgh, the Panthers there, is now in the NFL. He's with the Colts. Buddy, let him get some of that. It'll be blouses, okay? That defensive line will be disgusting. Will be really fun to see if they can get it done. But that's it from us, guys. We are going to continue to have these for a couple of weeks here. I'm really excited for all these different conversations that we have with guys. Graham Barton is on Wednesday. You guys are going to love that. We're staying in the interior, baby. We're keeping it with the big guys for at least this week and a really fun conversation, so you won't want to miss that. Continuously need your help and appreciate you guys going over to YouTube, subscribing to the channel, leave some comments. Tell me where you think Braden Fiske is going to go. Tell me if you have any concerns about him going this high. I don't think he can go high enough, quite frankly, with the things that he's going to bring to a team. And, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts, rate, review, subscribe there as well. We will greatly appreciate that. But until next time, we'll see y'all.